What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You already know it is the 904 Strength Club, home of the strongest content coming out of Northeast Florida. Today, I'm doing a video by special request from somebody. I was discussing semaglutide and attempting to implement muscle sparing techniques while taking semaglutide for weight loss. One of the big concerns that has come up from using semaglutide for weight loss is the amount of muscle mass that is being catabolized through the process. Personally, okay, start off, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. These are my opinions and my anecdotal experience. Anything that you do with this, I would take to your doctor and I would discuss. So, number one, big concern that people are losing a significant amount of muscle. I would love to see studies that actually compare the results from semaglutide and muscle loss, lean body mass loss, to results from lap band, gastric bypass, and other forced caloric reduction methods. I would be very interested to see that. I don't think that you would find that semaglutide preferentially wastes muscle. I think what you're more likely to find is that if you take a population of untrained people who aren't really on top of their diet, you restrict their calories, but you still allow them to eat whatever they want, you're going to find that they're going to have shit outcomes compared to what they could have, and that their body is going to shed metabolically active tissue as well because there's not sufficient stimulus in order to keep it. Next, yes, being in a caloric deficit causes you to lose muscle and strength. Anybody that's ever competed in a sport which has weight classes and has had to cut for those classes will look you square in the face and tell you no shit. All right, that's not groundbreaking. The longer you stay in a caloric deficit, the more your strength peters away, the more muscle you are going to lose because you are in a catabolic environment, and your body is a very, very smart organism that is making the changes that it needs to. What you're trying to do in that environment is you're trying to offset the catabolism preferentially to where it will go after fat stores as opposed to lean body or lean mass. All right. So let's also go ahead and say that people that are morbidly obese and more likely to be studied in any kind of follow-ups, by and large, and this isn't casting any shade because I'm technically morbidly obese and have been for decades now, I guess, they don't have their shit together when it comes to training and diet. Whether it's a lack of knowledge or a lack of implementation, one of the two is missing. Could be both missing. So, when you take a largely untrained population that's not necessarily great about their diet and you forcefully restrict their calories via medical chemical intervention, and then they start losing muscle mass that they had to accumulate in order to move around because that constituted enough of a stimulus for their body to accumulate muscle mass in order to support those activities. And when you begin to lose some of that stimulus, the stimulus becomes lower. Yes, they are going to lose muscle mass. When you take somebody that's a high-level athlete and you put them in a caloric deficit, they're going to lose muscle mass depending on how long they stay in it and how much weight they've got to lose. That's just the way that it is. All right. So the original question was, what have I done to offset and spare muscle? Now, it needs to go, I think it would go without saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. It's not that I haven't lost any muscle, because I have. I've had in-body scans. I don't have access to DEXA scan without paying for it. I've got free access to in-body scans. And I have lost, I think, 12 or 15 pounds of muscle over the last 3 months or so. You know, it's not that I haven't lost any muscle. I've lost a lot more fat than I have muscle. I've lost a lot of strength, but I've lost a lot more fat than I have muscle. And what I would say is I've done 3 things in order to offset and spare muscle. Number 1 is swapping up my training. I went from a strength-based program to a hypertrophy-based program. What I would recommend to anybody that's going to get onto semaglutide is to get into the gym and to pick up a training regimen. Expose their body to resistance training so that they are getting a stimulus in order to tell their body that they need that muscle. It can be as simple as a full body routine twice a week. You know, there's no need to really get fancy if you don't have any prior training history. If you do have prior training history, respond accordingly, do some research. You know, it can be a push-pull leg hypertrophy program. It can be asynchronous, synchronous. It can be, I'm doing a bro split because I just looked up, I had watched some Rich Piana videos right before, and I was like, before I decided to make the switch, and went ahead and said, well, I'll do Rich Piana's and see how that works. And it seems to be working well. So that's where I'm at. Number 2, being intelligent about your nutrition, more intelligent, more deliberate about your nutrition, leading with protein. Look for protein from lean sources and lead with that. Rotisserie chicken is your friend. If you can, you know, if you want to go the route of predominantly chicken breast for your protein with some fish, just keep an eye on mercury levels, whatnot. That's cool too. But be resourceful and more intelligent about your protein, because your body is now shutting you down sooner, which is good because you're trying to lose weight, but you still need to try to shoot for getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. The research on that, you can go look at Dr. Bill Campbell on Instagram. You can check out his page and his feed, and he's all the time posting more and more studies about high protein diets and the benefits of high protein diets. And the studies just prove out a high protein diet is one of the most desirable things that you can do for yourself from a dietary point of view. That's not to say that that is the end all be all, but that's to say that if you're coming from eating Fritos and cereal, focusing on getting lean protein in is a good place to start, and getting sufficient amounts of protein. And number 3 is hormones. I made some protocol changes. What I will say is, if you are a man, get your hormones checked along the way, and if everything's fine at the beginning, keep getting them checked. As you get into caloric deficits, you can get into an environment to where your body is producing reduced levels of testosterone. Consulting with a physician about potential TRT may be worth it. I'm not going to recommend any herbal supplements because I just don't think I don't think the research proves out any herbal supplements can reliably be looked to actually increase testosterone. If you're vitamin D deficient, or if you're not getting a sufficient amount of zinc in, your body's already going to struggle with that. A good multivitamin, and if you're vitamin D deficient, getting some vitamin D in could help you with that. But beyond that, all the tribulus and ashwagandha and all that, I'm just not convinced that by the time you do that and you get a high quality source that you can trust, you can pretty much be on TRT for about the same amount of cost. Just leveling with you. So if that's something that interests you, it's something for you to look into. So those are my 3 things I would recommend for sparing muscle while on semaglutide. If you don't have a training regimen, get one, and get one that's focused on hypertrophy especially. Number 2, lead with protein on your diet. And number 3, get your hormones looked at and make sure that your body is producing a sufficient amount. If you are morbidly obese, there is a chance that you are potentially at a reduced testosterone to begin with. Won't get into which one is causal, and did you get morbidly obese because you had reduced testosterone, or do you have reduced testosterone because you're morbidly obese? I'm not convinced one way or the other. My opinion, the two just happen to coincide. So take a look, make intelligent decisions, and talk about it with a doctor. Anyway, I hope this answers the question. And to anybody that's looking to get on this and lose weight, I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, I'm down 85 pounds in about 5 months. Results not typical or not average, whatever, but talk about it with your doctor. Pro tip, I'll leave you with this. If you're going to pursue this, work with a doctor that works with a compounding pharmacy. If they try to write for Wegovy, it's going to be a struggle to get your insurance to cover it. My insurance, when I called them originally, said, yeah, we'll cover it. And then it was a paperwork nightmare, and it was going to take forever to try to get the paperwork approved. So I ended up just going through the non-insurance route, which was through a compounding pharmacy. The auto injector pens, number one, they're about 4 times as expensive. And number two, you can't titrate up or down, which is what a lot of the doctors are going to have you do to begin with. And coming down might be, there are some side effects that are dose-dependent side effects, and you may find that whatever the level is that they prescribe for you, that's too much for you. But, you know, let's say it's 1 milligram a week. At 1 milligram, you're having horrendous side effects, but they titrated you up, and at 0.5 milligram a week, you weren't having any of the side effects. And, you know, getting it out of the bottle in a needle and working with it from a compounding pharmacy, you'll be able to make those, it'll give you the freedom to work with your doctor and actually find a dose that actually works for you without having to swap up auto injector pens. So I'll leave it at that, and we'll see y'all on the next one.